everybody. Again, exciting Festival of Doers Zurich speaker today. I'm so delighted to welcome Dina. Hello, how are you?
I'm really, really good, thanks. And I'm just really excited to be here and to chat with you. It's going to be a lovely chat, so I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, fantastic. You look really well. And first of all, congratulations on your TEDx talk. Super exciting. Let's talk about that a little bit. So can you share about your talk, but also maybe a little bit more about yourself as well?
Absolutely. Well, the talk, I'm going to be totally honest with you. It was a bit like an accidental talk. So I'll just give you a very short sort of outline of what happened. But basically, for a long while now, I've had my vision board. And vision boards are amazing. And I had a TED Talk logo on my vision board. And that was something that I wanted to do because I thought, I'm going to do a TED Talk. And then I swear, earlier this year, I took away the logo. So I thought, you know what, I've got other things to worry about this year. Let's leave the TED Talk. But as things happen, I got, someone contacted me and said, Dina, there's going to be like TEDx Basel's happening, get your tickets. So I actually went along as supposedly the audience. But then on the website, they said, if you want to have a chance at giving a 3-minute pop-up talk, then register. So I did. Now, I've got to tell you that when I registered, I really didn't, it was just, I thought, well, I'll just do it. It's not like I kind of felt that it was going to happen, really. It was on my vision board. And I got the message that my talk was accepted when I was lying on my sofa having a sofa day. And I have to tell you how it led to that sofa day. It's quite simply, the night before, I kind of came out in a bit of a cold sweat. I wasn't feeling good, and I just kind of realised, because having gone through burnout, which is what my talk was then about, that I realised, you know what, I can't keep doing what I'm doing. Tomorrow, I'm just not going to do anything. I'm just going to lie on my sofa, take a mug of tea, a good book, and do nothing. And that's exactly what I did. And that's when I got the email. So I thought to myself, oh my God, you're kidding me. I'm like, they want me to do a 3-minute pop-up talk. And I was so tempted, I swear, I was so tempted to write and say, sorry, I can't do it. Because I was just like going through a lot of things. I had a lot of things on my plate. But about 2 days or 3 days before, I don't know, you probably saw it as well, Avicii had committed suicide. And that kind of impacted me in a huge way, because when I read his story, it saddened me to think a young man, like 28 years old, who was going through some, let's say, his soul, his mental state, his physical state was screaming that he was going through huge, massive burnout, because we can look at burnout in different ways. And yet he was forced to continue, even though he stated quite clearly, look, I can't do this. And then it's weird, but I kind of thought, you know what, I'm going to write about this because it had an impact. So that's what I did. So very long story short, I went there thinking I was going to be in Hyde Park Corner, like just standing there, people coming in and out of the foyer. But oh no, it was a proper room with about 100 people. I gave my talk on, it's called a sofa day. That's what the talk was about burnout and my experience of it. And the participants could vote for the best speaker or for the message that resonated with them. And guess who won? Well, I did. So that was like really crazy. So basically, as I actually prepared to sit down and begin my day as part of the audience in watching the TED Talk, the guy came up on the stage and said, we've got our winner, and that's it. I ended up without whatever, and I ended up being on the main stage and then gave my talk to 700 people about the burnout. And there it is. So and then it's just gone a bit crazy ever since then, which I'm really grateful for. So I'm grateful for burnout, I guess, because a lot of things have happened.
And it's interesting that things very often happen when you just give them the space. So when you have the sofa day, isn't that crazy? So normally we fill our day up from start to finish. We don't even give the universe and people around us and all the chances and opportunities to arise, because everything is packed from start to the finish.
Yeah.
Now, having experienced that, and I'm always interested in people's personal definition of success. Mm-hmm. So, because we the society as a whole, you know, we associate success with people who are busy, they do a lot, they have a big car, they're in the corner office, you know, all of these wonderful things. But very often that leads to physical and emotional trauma. Not necessarily, of course, because you can also love what you do and manage it so that you can do it. So, but how do you define success for you personally?
Basically, what you've just said is very much what I look as the external definition of success. It's very much the idea that, unfortunately, I think the word success has been taken out of its context and looked at in a way that kind of equals power and money. And unless you have the power and the money, then it's not seen as being successful. However, the way that I look at success is very much about the internal success, because I really like exactly what you just mentioned just before, Misa. It's the fact is, unless you're successful within, unless you're feeling good within, forget the external stuff. Seriously. I mean, look at how many people, seriously, this is what's impacted me like the last couple of weeks, whether it be Avicii, whether it be Kate Spade, whether it be, who's the famous chef from CNN, Anthony Bourdain. All these people had seemingly everything from an external perspective, but what was going on internally? And then suddenly, because when we are successful, when we appear successful on the outside, we then feel afraid to be vulnerable enough to open up and say, do you know what, guys, I'm actually going through a bit of poo, you know, stuff is happening here. But you don't want to expose it, because then you're going to seem like you're weak. So I think we need to be open enough to say, we need a balance, we need to find inner balance, because forget whatever you achieve outside of that, it's going to mean nothing. And it's like Ariana Huffington said in her book Thrive, she mentions that this type of success is like you're balancing on a stool that only has two legs. There's only so much balance you're going to be able to do. Sooner or later, it's going to break. Okay, so we need to start looking at our internal self as well, because otherwise the external stuff just has no meaning. That's just kind of how I feel about it. So for me, it's very much the internal part of success.
You talk a lot about burnout, obviously. So could you share very briefly maybe something about your own experience and how did that lead you to this path?
Oh, how crazy. Well, I've got to be honest. And this is the thing that if anybody's like, I know that you're watching and you're listening to this message, there are always signs. And you hear about, it's not something that happens once. I mean, I've got my burnout t-shirt 3 times. Believe it or not, I've had 3 major sort of breakdowns and burnout. The last time I decided to listen, because that's another thing we do. There's always signs. Our inner self, call it your higher self, call it your soul, call it whatever, it's always telling you to listen. There's certain things that you're doing in your life that are not meeting what it is that perhaps you're supposed to be doing or changing. And we get so scared of change, you know, especially if you've got a good job, if you're running a successful company and you just don't want to make that change, because what does change mean? It's the unknown, okay? And for me, I didn't listen. So I would listen, I would get back to, let's say, normal, but then I'd go back again on the hamster wheel and on again and running on that hamster wheel, right? And then it just got to the point where it was like, you can't be doing this anymore. So the last time it happened, I literally crumbled on the high street, in the middle of the high street in Zurich. Embarrassing, but there it was. And I just realized, that's it. I just cannot do this anymore. And that was, I get a bit emotional, sorry when I talk about this, but it was like, for me, it sounds crazy now, but it was actually the best thing that ever happened to me. Because, and that's what I want to say to people, and it's the positive effects of burnout, because it wakens you up to what is possible and what it is about you that you need to transform. And from that, I actually did a lot of work on myself. So I spent a year out working on myself, clearing up all the baggage. Because that's the point. A lot of people that are going through depression or going through stuff, they think by doing more, they can perhaps hide all the internal stuff, but it's always going to be there unless you clean it up. It's always going to be there. Hence the reason why you do hear about people that are suffering from depression or perhaps committing suicide. So I worked hard on clearing up all of that stuff. And from that, Lessons in Self was born, because it's all about your lessons in self. And now Burnout to Brilliance. So I'm grateful. And that's what I want people to know. At the time, it seems like your world has totally collapsed before you and you think, oh my God, there's no way back. But it is really a wake-up call, but you don't have to wait until you collapse in the middle of the street to do something about it. So please listen. That's my message. Please listen.
That's a beautiful message. And I think we should all listen ourselves and that inner voice, that inner brilliance. I call it the drive, the inner drive, the spark. We need to honor that, whether we are, on a high or on a low point in our lives. It doesn't matter, because the voice is there and that tells us the direction we need to go, and we need to honor that and believe in that. And that's what Festival of Doers is all about.
Woo! I'm so excited.
Exactly. Amazing women coming together and sharing that spark, sharing that drive, and encouraging each other to believe in our dreams and believe in all the bigger things and the greater things that we can create together, and that we don't have to do things in a certain way. We don't have to work so that we collapse on the high street, or whatever it is. Honoring that spark, that's what Festival of Doers is all about. I'm so excited to welcome you and so many other beautiful ladies in September in Zurich.
And I'm just so grateful, seriously, that I'm going to be there. So thank you so much for inviting me, because that is just brilliant. I really am grateful for this opportunity. It's going to be wonderful. And just meeting all the other women, because I went to the one in London and it was just a fantastic event. And the fact that it's coming to Zurich, I mean, come on. So ladies, you have to come to this. There's like no excuse. Seriously, there's no excuse. It's going to be incredible. Yeah.
And it's going to be fun too. It's not going to be one of those stiff events. It's amazing atmosphere. Yeah. We're going to have fun. And I do recommend Dina's workshop. So after lunch, we're going to break up into workshops. And Dina's workshop is one of them. Highly recommended. Thank you, Dina.
Thank you.
And thank you for taking the time to talk to me. And I will see you in Zurich, 17th of September.
14th?
Oh, what am I talking about? It's a Friday. 14th. People.
Well, you're going to be on your own then, because I'm going to be with the
Friday afternoon. It's time to shut this shop down. And
good. Thank you so much, Misa, for chatting to me. And you've pressed stop now.